As a physician with over 25 years of experience working with adults over 50, I've seen one issue surface time and time again: joint pain. For many, it starts as a mild stiffness in the morning or a dull ache after a walk. Eventually, it can progress to chronic discomfort that interferes with daily life. Most people assume this is simply a normal part of aging, something you just have to live with. But I want to challenge that idea. What if I told you that some of the joint pain you're experiencing may not be caused by your age or activity level at all, but by what's on your plate? It may sound surprising, but many of the foods commonly found in the average American diet, foods that seem harmless, or even healthy, can quietly fuel inflammation, erode cartilage, and accelerate the progression of arthritis. And the truth is, most adults over 50 are eating these inflammation-triggering foods every single day without realizing the long-term impact. In my clinical work, I've helped countless patients reduce pain and regain mobility by making simple, targeted changes to their diets. This article will break down the most common joint-damaging foods in the American diet, explain how they impact your musculoskeletal health, and provide practical alternatives that support joint strength, reduce inflammation, and help you stay active and independent well into your later years. If you're over 50 and dealing with joint discomfort, don't accept it as inevitable. It's time to look at what's really going on, and it may start with your fork. Specialist in age-related health. Most people assume joint pain is just an inevitable part of aging, a result of decades of wear and tear. And while mechanical stress does play a role, that's only part of the picture. What many of my patients don't realize is that chronic inflammation is often the hidden driver behind their pain, stiffness, and loss of mobility, and your daily diet may be fueling it. Let me be clear, the foods you eat can either protect your joints or accelerate their decline. Some ingredients, particularly those found in processed, sugary, or fried foods, trigger low-grade, long-term inflammation in the body. This inflammation gradually wears down the cartilage that cushions your joints, increases swelling, and can even lead to earlier onset of arthritis. Over time, what starts as occasional discomfort becomes persistent, limiting pain. If you find yourself waking up with stiff knees, struggling to get up from a chair, or feeling that uncomfortable, grinding sensation in your hips after short walks, it may not just be your age. These are common warning signs I see in adults over 50. And they often point to inflammation that's being driven by what's on their plate. On the flip side, certain foods have powerful anti-inflammatory properties that help the body heal. They support joint lubrication, reduce swelling, and provide the essential nutrients your cartilage and connective tissues need to repair and stay strong. Here's what I tell all my patients: diet is one of the most powerful tools you have to reduce joint pain and preserve your mobility. You just need to know which foods are hurting you, and which ones can help you move with less pain, more freedom, and better long-term health. If you're serious about staying active and independent well into your 60s, 70s, and beyond, the journey starts in your kitchen, not just in the doctor's office. Refined, the hidden trigger behind joint inflammation. As a physician with over 25 years of experience working with patients over 50, I've seen a common dietary pattern that often goes unnoticed, and yet silently accelerates joint degeneration: the regular consumption of refined carbohydrates. These include white bread, white rice, pastries, conventional pasta, and sugary breakfast cereals. While they're inexpensive, familiar, and easy to prepare, these processed carbs do far more harm than most people realize, especially when it comes to your joints. Here's why. Refined carbohydrates are rapidly broken down into glucose, causing a sharp rise in blood sugar levels. In response, your body releases insulin along with a cascade of pro-inflammatory chemicals called cytokines. These molecules are designed to protect your body during acute injury or infection, but when they're constantly triggered by diet, they create a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation. This type of inflammation is particularly destructive to joint health. Over time, it damages the cartilage that cushions your bones, accelerates the wear and tear of joint structures, and leads to symptoms like stiffness, swelling, and persistent discomfort, even in the absence of a formal arthritis diagnosis. For individuals already struggling with osteoarthritis or rheumatoid arthritis, refined carbohydrates can significantly worsen symptoms and make pain management more difficult. But here's the good news: your food choices can also be part of the solution. What I recommend instead: if you're over 50 and want to protect your joints, I strongly advise replacing refined carbohydrates with whole, fiber-rich grains. Steel-cut oats, quinoa, brown rice, barley, buckwheat. Whole grains digest more slowly, keeping your blood sugar levels stable and reducing the inflammatory response. They also deliver important nutrients, like B vitamins, magnesium, and antioxidants that support tissue repair and help maintain healthy cartilage. In my practice, patients who make this simple switch often report noticeable improvements in joint flexibility, energy levels, and even weight management, another critical factor in reducing pressure on aging joints. Final thought. What you eat matters more than you think, especially after 50. Refined carbohydrates may seem harmless, but their long-term effects on joint health are profound. By making intentional, informed swaps in your daily meals, you can reduce inflammation, preserve your mobility, and take a powerful step toward healthier aging. Dr. Marcus Wells, board-certified internal medicine physician and healthy aging specialist. Processed meats are sabotaging your joints. Here's what you should know. By Dr. Marcus Wells. As a physician with over 25 years of clinical experience, I've seen firsthand how everyday dietary choices can quietly fuel joint pain, stiffness, and inflammation, especially in adults over 50. One of the most common offenders I point out to my patients is processed meat. Let's break this down. Processed meats, such as bacon, hot dogs, sausages, pepperoni, and deli meats, are dietary staples for many Americans. They're convenient, flavorful, and widely available. But beneath that crispy sizzle or smoked aroma lies a dangerous combination of ingredients that may be silently accelerating joint degeneration. What makes processed meats so harmful to your joints? First, processed meats are high in saturated fats, which have been shown to trigger low-grade systemic inflammation, the same type of chronic inflammation that damages cartilage and synovial membranes over time. When inflammation becomes chronic, your body's natural repair processes are disrupted, leading to increased joint pain and stiffness. Second, these meats are loaded with sodium and preservatives, which can lead to fluid retention, increased joint pressure, and even bone demineralization in older adults. High sodium levels may also aggravate existing conditions like osteoarthritis by altering fluid balance in joint spaces. Perhaps most concerning is the presence of advanced glycation end product, harmful compounds formed when meats are cooked at high temperatures, especially by frying, grilling, or smoking. AGEs are known to accumulate in joint tissues and have been linked to increased oxidative stress and inflammatory cytokine activity, which accelerate cartilage breakdown. In simple terms, processed meats don't just harm your heart, they're wearing down your joints meal by meal. Why this matters even more after 50. After age 50, your body naturally produces less collagen, a vital protein that helps maintain joint structure and cartilage integrity. Combine that with the inflammation from processed foods, and you have the perfect storm for worsening arthritis symptoms. Many of my patients don't connect their morning bacon or lunchtime sandwich to their worsening joint pain, but the science is clear. These foods fuel the inflammation that steals your comfort and independence. A smarter alternative: lean, unprocessed proteins. You don't have to give up protein. In fact, maintaining protein intake is essential for muscle mass and joint support after 50. The key is choosing cleaner sources that support your body rather than work against it. Here's what I recommend. Skinless poultry like chicken or turkey, rich in protein, low in saturated fat. Fatty fish like salmon or sardines, full of anti-inflammatory omega-3s. Plant-based proteins such as lentils, chickpeas, black beans, and tofu, excellent sources of fiber and micronutrients that actively fight inflammation. Cooking methods also matter. Bake, steam, or sauté instead of frying or grilling at high temperatures, to reduce AGE formation and preserve nutrient content. Final thought from Dr. Marcus Wells. You may not notice the damage processed meats are doing right away, but over time, the impact adds up. Joint pain doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of years of choices, stressors, and dietary patterns that either protect your joints or tear them down. If you're serious about staying active and independent well into your 60s, 70s, and beyond, eliminating processed meats from your regular diet is a smart, science-backed step in the right direction. Small changes at the grocery store today can mean less pain, better mobility, and more freedom tomorrow. 3. Fried and fast foods, a hidden threat to your joints after 50. By Dr. Marcus Wells, MD. For many of my patients over 50, fried and fast foods have long been a part of everyday life, a quick bite on the go, a comforting meal after a long day, or just a favorite guilty pleasure. But what many don't realize is that these foods are silently accelerating joint degeneration and inflammation, even if you don't feel it right away. Fried chicken, French fries, onion rings, breaded fish, mozzarella sticks, and similar deep-fried favorites are often cooked in cheap, heavily processed vegetable oils. These oils are typically high in omega-6 fatty acids, which, when consumed in excess and without sufficient omega-3s to balance them out, contribute to chronic inflammation throughout the body, especially in the joints. In addition, the high-heat frying process produces harmful compounds known as advanced glycation end product. These agents have been shown to break down collagen and cartilage, the essential tissues that cushion your joints and allow them to move smoothly. Once these structures begin to degrade, stiffness, swelling, and our symptoms often follow. Another concern is the presence of trans fats, which are still found in some fried and processed foods despite recent regulations. Trans fats are particularly damaging to joint health because they not only increase inflammation but also interfere with the body's natural ability to repair tissue. In people over 50, whose natural healing and regenerative processes are already slower, this can result in more persistent joint discomfort and reduced mobility. Furthermore, fast food meals are typically high in sodium and added sugars, both of which indirectly impact joint health by promoting water retention, increased pressure in the joints, and weight gain. Extra body weight places additional stress on load-bearing joints like the knees, hips, and lower back, worsening pain and reducing range of motion over time. What I recommend instead? You don't have to give up flavor to protect your joints. I encourage my patients to opt for baking, roasting, or grilling instead of frying. These methods still allow for crisp textures and satisfying meals without the inflammatory effects of deep frying. When cooking at home, replace highly processed oils like corn or soybean oil with heart and joint-friendly alternatives, such as extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. These oils are rich in antioxidants and healthy fats that support joint lubrication and reduce inflammation naturally. If you're dining out, look for grilled options or ask for your food to be prepared without frying. You might be surprised how many restaurants are willing to accommodate a simple health-conscious request. Final thoughts from Dr. Marcus Wells. Your joints do not suddenly break down after 50, they wear down gradually, often from decades of subtle dietary habits. Fried and fast foods may seem harmless in the moment, but over time, they chip away at the tissues that keep you moving, independent, and pain-free. It's never about perfection, but being more mindful about how your food is prepared, and choosing anti-inflammatory options more often, can make a profound difference in how you feel, how you move, and how you age. You only get one body. Let's take care of your joints, one meal at a time. Or, Sugary, a silent threat to your joints after 50. By Dr. Marcus Wells. As a physician with over 25 years of experience working with adults over 50, I've seen countless cases where joint pain, stiffness, and inflammation were directly influenced by daily dietary habits. One of the most overlooked, yet harmful, contributors. Sugary beverages. I'm talking about sodas, sweetened iced teas, flavored coffee drinks, and so-called energy drinks. These are not harmless treats. In fact, they can quietly undermine your joint health in multiple ways, especially as you age. Here's what you need to understand. Sugary drinks cause rapid spikes in blood sugar, which trigger a cascade of inflammatory responses in the body. This inflammation doesn't just affect your heart or blood vessels, it directly impacts your joints. Over time, elevated insulin levels can damage the delicate tissues that support joint movement, including cartilage and synovial fluid. When these tissues break down, the result is pain, swelling, and reduced mobility. But it doesn't stop there. Sugary beverages are also strongly associated with increased fat accumulation, particularly around the abdomen and joints. Extra weight places additional mechanical stress on your knees, hips, and lower back, accelerating joint degeneration. For every extra pound of body weight, your knees experience up to 4 pounds of added pressure. That's a burden your joints simply can't afford after 50. And if you're thinking, I only have one soda a day, how bad can it be? A large-scale observational study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that women who consumed just one sugary soda per day had nearly double the risk of developing rheumatoid arthritis compared to those who abstained. That's one drink a day, doubling your risk. The worst part? These drinks provide zero nutritional value. No vitamins, no minerals, no joint-building nutrients. Just empty calories and metabolic stress. What I recommend instead? Hydration is essential for joint health, but what you hydrate with matters. For my patients, I recommend filtered water as your main beverage of choice. If you miss flavor, try infusing your water with slices of fresh lemon, cucumber, or mint. Unsweetened herbal teas, like chamomile, ginger, or green tea, can also be excellent anti-inflammatory options. Avoid anything with high fructose corn syrup, artificial sweeteners, or added sugars. Even so-called natural fruit juices can be deceptively high in sugar without the fiber that protects you. Final thought. At this stage in life, every dietary decision has compounding effects, good or bad. Eliminating sugary drinks may seem like a small change, but it can make a measurable difference in your inflammation levels, joint function, and long-term mobility. Your joints are your foundation. Don't let what you drink break them down from the inside out. Dr. Marcus Wells, founder of Healthy After 50, board-certified in internal medicine and geriatrics. Dairy products, a hidden trigger for joint pain in sensitive individuals. As a physician with over 25 years of clinical experience treating adults over 50, I've seen firsthand how small dietary choices can make a big impact on joint health. One group of foods that often flies under the radar when it comes to joint pain is dairy products, and while dairy is not inherently harmful for everyone, it can be problematic for a significant number of people. Let me explain why. The double-edged nature of dairy. Dairy is widely recognized as a rich source of calcium and protein, two nutrients essential for maintaining strong bones and muscle mass as we age. Many health professionals, including myself, recommend moderate dairy intake for its nutritional value. However, for some adults, especially those over 50, dairy may actually contribute to chronic joint discomfort due to how the body reacts to certain proteins and sugars found in milk-based products. Inflammation and immune response. Two common culprits in dairy that may trigger inflammation are lactose, the natural sugar in milk, casein, one of the primary proteins in dairy. As we age, lactose intolerance becomes more prevalent. The body gradually loses the ability to produce lactase, the enzyme needed to break down lactose. This can lead not only to digestive upset but also to a systemic immune response that triggers low-grade inflammation throughout the body, including the joints. Even in people without lactose issues, casein sensitivity can stimulate an inflammatory cascade. This response may not show up immediately, but over time it can contribute to joint stiffness, swelling, and accelerated cartilage breakdown, especially in those with pre-existing osteoarthritis or autoimmune-related joint condition. Symptoms to watch for. If you experience any of the following within hours or a day after consuming dairy, consider it a red flag. Increased joint stiffness in the morning. Swelling or puffiness around knees, hands, or ankles. Fatigue or brain fog. Digestive issues, bloating, gas, cramping. These signs may indicate that your body is mounting an inflammatory response to dairy, even if you've tolerated it well in the past. What I recommend instead. For patients who suspect a dairy-related link to joint pain, I typically suggest an elimination trial. Remove all dairy products for 2 to 3 weeks and observe how your body feels. Many of my patients are shocked by how much better their joints feel within just a few days. If you do notice improvement, consider switching to non-inflammatory alternatives, such as lactose-free dairy products, which are easier on digestion, almond milk, oat milk, or coconut milk, plant-based yogurts and cheeses made from cashews, soy, or peas. Be sure to choose fortified options that contain calcium and vitamin D, as these remain essential for maintaining bone health after 50. Bottom line. Dairy isn't bad for everyone, but if you're struggling with unexplained joint pain, inflammation, or stiffness, especially if you're over 50, it's worth considering whether dairy could be a hidden trigger. The key is personalization. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to nutrition, especially when it comes to inflammation and joint health. What works for one person may cause problems for another. If you're concerned, speak with your doctor or a registered dietitian. And remember, even small dietary changes can lead to big improvements in how you move, feel, and live each day. As a physician with over 25 years of experience helping adults over 50 maintain mobility and joint health, I've seen firsthand how alcohol can quietly sabotage the progress many patients work so hard to make. While an occasional glass of wine or a social drink here and there may not pose a major issue for everyone, regular or excessive alcohol use can have a far more damaging effect on your joints than most people realize, especially as you age. Let's break it down. How alcohol affects your joints. One of the most concerning effects of alcohol is its ability to increase uric acid levels in the blood. Over time, this buildup can lead to a painful condition known as gout, a form of inflammatory arthritis that often affects the big toe, feet, ankles, or knees. Gout attacks can come on suddenly, causing intense pain, redness, and swelling that may last for days or even weeks. But the impact doesn't stop there. Alcohol is also a diuretic, meaning it causes your body to lose fluids more rapidly. This leads to dehydration, which in turn affects the health of your cartilage, the tissue that cushions and protects your joints. When cartilage becomes dry and brittle, joints are more prone to friction, stiffness, and long-term damage. On top of that, alcohol can interfere with sleep, reducing your body's ability to repair inflamed tissues overnight. If you're not sleeping well, your joints aren't recovering properly either. Why this matters more after 50. As we get older, our bodies naturally produce less synovial fluid, the lubricant that keeps joints gliding smoothly. Recovery from inflammation and injury also takes longer. So when you add alcohol to the equation, especially on a consistent basis, you're compounding an already vulnerable situation. I often tell my patients, even if you feel fine now, alcohol-related joint damage is often silent and cumulative. You may not notice it until it starts interfering with your ability to walk, climb stairs, or enjoy the activities you love. My professional recommendation. I'm not saying you have to give up alcohol entirely. For many people, an occasional drink in moderation, such as a glass of red wine with dinner, can fit within a healthy lifestyle. But for those dealing with arthritis, joint stiffness, or recurring flare-ups, it's worth taking a closer look at how alcohol may be contributing to the problem. My advice: limit alcohol to special occasions, rather than daily habits. Drink plenty of water if you notice increased stiffness, swelling, or gout-like symptoms after drinking. It may be time to cut back or eliminate alcohol altogether. Bottom line: alcohol might feel harmless in the moment, but for people over 50, especially those with joint concerns, it can quietly undermine your joint health, recovery, and long-term mobility. If you're serious about protecting your joints and staying active as you age, reducing alcohol intake is a simple yet powerful step in the right direction. And remember, small choices today shape the freedom you'll enjoy tomorrow. 7. The silent joint killer in your too much salt. As a physician with over 25 years of experience caring for adults over 50, I've seen firsthand how seemingly small dietary habits can lead to significant joint problems over time. One of the most overlooked culprits: excess sodium, more commonly known as salt. Most people associate high salt intake with heart disease or high blood pressure. And yes, those risks are real. But what many don't realize is that consistently eating too much sodium can also damage your joints, especially if you're already dealing with osteoarthritis or joint stiffness. When you consume high amounts of salt, often hidden in processed snacks, canned soups, frozen dinners, fast food, and even some healthy, packaged meals, your body starts to retain excess water. This water retention increases the volume of fluid in your body, which in turn raises pressure in the joints. That additional pressure can worsen joint pain, particularly in weight-bearing areas like the knees, hips, and lower back. If you already suffer from arthritis, even mild swelling from fluid retention can reduce your range of motion and amplify discomfort. But it goes deeper than just fluid retention. Emerging research shows that high sodium intake may contribute to the breakdown of cartilage, the cushioning material inside your joints. Sodium can stimulate the release of enzymes that degrade collagen and accelerate the degeneration of joint structures, speeding up the progression of osteoarthritis. In fact, studies suggest that people with consistently high sodium diets have more inflammatory markers in their bloodstream, which not only affect the cardiovascular system but also promote inflammation in joints. The real danger: most adults over 50 don't even realize they're consuming too much salt. According to the CDC, over 90% of Americans exceed the recommended daily limit of sodium, which is 2,300 milligrams. For people with hypertension, joint pain, or kidney concerns, the ideal target is even lower. Why is this a problem? Because salt hides in places you might not expect. Store-bought rotisserie chicken, salad dressings, cottage cheese, breakfast cereals, canned vegetables and beans, unless labeled low sodium. Even foods marketed as heart-healthy can contain high sodium levels, making it difficult to spot the danger unless you're actively reading nutrition labels. To protect your joints, especially if you're over 50, I advise cook at home whenever possible. When you prepare your meals, you control the ingredients, and that includes the salt. Use fresh produce, lean proteins, and whole grain. Read food labels carefully. Look for sodium content per serving, and aim to stay below 400 to 500 milligrams per item if you're eating packaged food. Flavor with herbs and spices instead of salt. Garlic, onion powder, paprika, turmeric, rosemary, thyme, these can add depth without damaging your joints. Drain and rinse canned foods. This simple step can reduce sodium by up to 40%. Avoid the salt shaker. Most of the sodium you consume already comes from packaged or restaurant food, so skip the extra sprinkle at the table. Final thought from Dr. Marcus Wells. Salt may seem harmless, it's on every table, in nearly every packaged product, and part of our daily routine. But when you're over 50 and your joints are already under stress from years of use, excess sodium is like throwing gasoline on a smoldering fire. You don't need to eliminate salt entirely, but you do need to become more aware of how much you're consuming and where it's coming from. The earlier you take control of your sodium intake, the better chance you have of protecting your joints, reducing inflammation, and staying mobile and independent for years to come. It's not about cutting flavor, it's about cutting the risk. The long-term consequences of your diet after 50. Why joint health is at greater risk than you think. By Dr. Marcus Wells. When it comes to your joints, damage doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow and often silent process, and unfortunately, most adults don't realize it's happening until the discomfort is already interfering with their life. After age 50, your joints become more vulnerable. The body produces less collagen, which is essential for cushioning and protecting cartilage. Lubricating synovial fluid, the natural oil that keeps your joints moving smoothly, also declines with age. This means recovery from everyday strain takes longer, and damage caused by poor lifestyle habits accumulates faster. One of the most underestimated drivers of joint deterioration is chronic, low-grade inflammation, and much of it is directly linked to the foods we eat every day. Even if you currently feel fine, your dietary choices may be setting the stage for serious mobility issues in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Joint pain, stiffness, and reduced range of motion are not inevitable outcomes of aging. They're often the result of years of poor nutritional habits that accelerate the wear and tear on your joints. What I recommend to my patients: anti-inflammatory nutrition for joint protection. Over the past 25 years of working with patients over 50, I've seen firsthand how powerful the right dietary choices can be in protecting joint health, and even reversing some early damage. If you want to preserve your mobility, independence, and quality of life, start by building your meals around nutrient-dense, anti-inflammatory foods. Here's what I advise: include 1. Omega-3 fatty acids. These essential fats are known for their ability to reduce joint stiffness and combat inflammation. They also support heart and brain health, a bonus for aging adults. Wild-caught salmon, sardines, mackerel, flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts. 2. Antioxidant-rich fruits and vegetables. Free radicals damage cells, including those in your joints. Antioxidants help neutralize this damage and reduce the risk of chronic inflammation. Berries, leafy greens, like spinach and kale, broccoli, turmeric, ginger, red cabbage, beets. 3. Vitamin D and calcium. Essential for maintaining strong bones and preventing joint degeneration, especially in weight-bearing areas like the knees and hips. Eggs, low-fat dairy or fortified plant milks, broccoli, canned sardines, with bones, mushrooms exposed to sunlight. 4. Hydration. Many people don't associate water with joint health, but staying hydrated helps maintain joint lubrication and reduces friction that causes pain and stiffness. Water, cucumbers, celery, watermelon, citrus fruits, and soups made from vegetables and lean protein. 5. Collagen-supporting nutrients. Collagen gives your joint structure and strength. After 50, natural collagen production declines, making it important to consume nutrients that help your body rebuild this critical protein. Bone broth, citrus fruits, for vitamin C, bell peppers, leafy greens, and foods rich in proline and glycine. Why this matters, and what you can do now. Joint degeneration doesn't begin when pain starts, it begins years earlier, often fueled by a steady diet of inflammatory foods like refined sugars, processed meats, and fried snacks. If you're over 50, your window for prevention is still open, but time matters. The good news: you don't need to make extreme changes or give up everything you love. Even modest dietary improvements can reduce inflammation, support cartilage health, and improve how your joints feel and function each day. Personal note from Dr. Marcus Wells. As a physician who's helped thousands of adults navigate the health challenges of aging, I can confidently say this: what you put on your plate today determines how you move tomorrow. I've worked with patients who were told they needed surgery, who struggled to get up from a chair, who feared losing their independence, and many of them turned things around through consistent dietary changes. They reduced their pain, regained mobility, and most importantly, got back to living the active lives they love. If you're over 50 and dealing with joint pain, or simply want to avoid it in the years ahead, the first thing I want you to examine is not your age, it's your habits, especially what you eat. Let's take the next step together. If you found this helpful and want more real, practical health guidance designed specifically for adults over 50, I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Healthy After 50. We break down the science, simplify the action steps, and support you in making lasting changes, one meal, one walk, one better choice at a time. Your joints are worth protecting, and the choices you make today can keep you moving well, for decades to come. Dr. Marcus Wells, board-certified physician, 25+ years of experience helping adults over 50 thrive.